All right, we got the heart. That's the apex of the heart. The bottom, the inferior portion, that's the base of the heart. The superior portion. When we go to the term list, we got the vena cava coming in here, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, right here, and then they go into the right atrium, right in here. When we look into the atrium here on the right side, we then go through the atrioventricular valve into the ventricle. That's the right atrioventricular valve, also known as the tricuspid valve, and then that's the right atrium. And from there, we shoot up through the pulmonary trunk, or into the pulmonary trunk through the semilunar valves, and these are the pulmonary semilunar valves, and that goes right in here. From there, we're going to split right up here into pulmonary arteries, going to the lungs. From the lungs, we then return back through the pulmonary veins. They are red here, so that means oxygen, and they bring the blood oxygenated from the lungs into the left atria. From there, we go through the left atrioventricular valve into the left ventricle. This is also known as the bicuspid valve, as well as the mitral valve. Then from the ventricle here, the blood gets shot up through the deep in here into the aortic arch, right in here. And the aortic arch has three stumps coming up. The first one is the brachiocephalic trunk, which then splits into the right subclavian and the right carotid artery. The second stump is the left carotid artery, common carotid artery, and the last one is the left subclavian artery. Then we have on the base of the aorta, we have the coronary artery coming out. We have a right one, and behind we have a left one that's hidden. And the right one comes right out of here, the right coronary artery, and then that one's actually, hold on, wrong. Scratch that. Here, we get out of here. So that is actually, now I'm confused. Anyway, what we need to know and worry about for this is, I'm not going to post that, is that's the coronary artery, and then here, that splits right into a circumflex artery and into an anterior interventricular artery. That's what's important here, these two. I usually tag one of these. And that's good for that. Video? Oh, good. We have red blood cells, erythrocytes, they're red, duh. Then we have these little blue things, those are the platelets. And then we have white blood cells, that's everybody else. So we got some that have little granules on the back, if you feel them. Some of the granules are neutral, they look like the background. Some are blue, and some are red-ish. The neutral ones are neutrophils, the bluish one are basophils, and the reddish ones eosinophils. And then we got the ones left that are small, that have a marble background, a blue marble background. And then we got the other ones that are just very, very big, with a pink background and kidney-shaped nucleus and that kind of stuff. These are lymphocytes, and these are monocytes. Here, what we look at, we got a right and we got a left hemisphere. We got a longitudinal fissure that goes all the way down through it, and separating the brain into right and left hemispheres. I already said that. We got different lobes. We got a frontal lobe that goes all the way up to this red structure. This red structure, reddish structure, is the precentral gyrus. Then, behind the ear, right in here, we have the temporal lobe. Then on top here, where the blue wiggle is, the blue gyrus, we have the parietal lobe. And in the back, we have the occipital lobe. And then we have one lobe here, that's right here, that's hidden, that's called the insula. This red wiggle was the precentral gyrus, this blue wiggle is the postcentral gyrus. Then behind here we have the cerebellum, that's the hindbrain. And then we get already into opening the brain. So when you open the brain, we're gonna get into the midbrain area. That's this neighborhood here. What we see there is the superior and the inferior colliculus. Those are the structures that I tag.
I mean, you tag the midbrain, where are you going to?
I'm not tagging the midbrain. Midbrain is not on the test.
Okay.
It's just on the list. But it's too difficult. What's more testable is the pons.
Okay.
Right, this structure, and then inferiorly we have the Medulla Oblongata. Again, if I tag it here, you can call me over and ask which one do you mean. Then here, when we go further down, so that's the Medulla Oblongata. But here we see this structure here that's sort of etched in. That's supposed to be the pyramids, right in here. And then this green structure on the side, that's the olive. And then we get back to this upper portion right in here, and we got, well, let's take it out. We got this first sort of whitish thing here in the middle that goes all the way through. That's the thalamus. And then the thing that's more beigey on the outside, the egg-shaped thing, that's the basal ganglia. And then a little bit before here, right in this area, that's the hypothalamus. And back in here, that's the epithalamus, so the choroid plexus and the pineal gland, but that's not on the test. But then what we have also on this test, that's the last portions, corpus callosum and pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is right here, underneath the hypothalamus, and the corpus callosum are actually all these yellow things that go from side to side, from hemisphere to hemisphere. So we see it very often on this, like this, as such, where it's called. And then the last item here we need to touch on are these openings in here that are spaces, and those are the ventricles. And we have a ventricular model, so these are spaces. They're not substance. They hold cerebrospinal fluid. These are the lateral ventricles on the both of the sides, one right, one left. Then here, as they come together, is the third ventricle. That's right between the thalami. Then as we go down here, that's the cerebral aqueduct. And then lastly, where it widens up again, that's right in front of the cerebellum, and that's the fourth ventricle. Okay, so this is the cross-section of the spinal cord. This here is the vertebra, this is the cord itself, and then these are the nerves coming out. So we know this is the back of the vertebra, we know this is the back of the cord. So what we have there in the cord that we need to know here, I'm going to go over here. We have this central canal, that's this little dot right in here. Then inside we have this gray-shaped or gray mattery, brownish colored, butterfly-shaped cell body structures. We have a posterior horn, a lateral horn, and an anterior horn. We talked about the different cell bodies they hold. Anterior is motor, posterior is sensory. Everything posterior here is sensory. All these nerve roots, these are nerve roots, the posterior nerve roots or the dorsal nerve roots, and the ventral or anterior nerve roots. And then I jump to this side, and what I see here is this bulgy thing. And that's the dorsal root ganglia. And then right here, after that, when it comes together and the nerve is one, actually here you can see it. This here is the spinal nerve, right here, this length, where it's one. And then it splits back into two. And then these are called rami, but we're not going to test them. That's it.